Welcome back to Manovaac in conversation with Guruji. I Suresha
And I'm Dr. Seema with the audience this time. And together we will be asking some questions to Guruji.
Guruji, is Sanatan Dharma a religion, a way of life, or a science? And how does one define, understand, and practice in current times? And how much importance should one give to rituals, Vedic text in current times and in the times to come?
Okay. Basically, Sanatan Dharma comprises of all three.
Okay.
It cannot be compartmentalized or boxed. It is the universal code of conduct. So, virtually, it covers every aspect of human life. You call it science, you call it a way of life, you call it a religion, whatever it is. There is nothing that is not covered by Sanatan Dharma. It's virtually that way. And it's a different thing that people take what they want from it and project it in a certain way. So a scientist will say he'll take something that projects his thesis with Sanatan Dharma. A religious person may take something what suits them and project it for their purpose. A politician may do the same thing for his purpose. That is different. But basically, Sanatan Dharma covers absolutely everything because it is universal. It is the code of conduct by which humanity is taught to live. It is not confined to a religion. You see, yes, you can make a religion out of it, fine. But it is not confined by that. Now, how relevant is it to today's life? I think it's 100% relevant because what Sanatan Dharma basically projects and teaches you under any circumstances is why are you born? What is the purpose of taking a human birth? How do you live this human birth? And how do you come to a stage where you end the cycle of suffering, you end the cycle of births and deaths, and be one with the ultimate or the supreme soul. Now, this entire journey of the soul from its first incarnation to its probably last incarnation is covered theoretically in Sanatan Dharma. Practically, it may not happen in as many births is up to the individual soul. But theoretically, it is all contained in Sanatan Dharma. So it is relevant to every era, every sphere of activity. It is relevant to any human being. It's sad that it is confined only to a small portion of human beings in and around India, but the basic principles are absolutely universal and apply to each human being. But because it has been tied up with Hinduism and it is, I would say, rather misinterpreted as Hinduism, that is why people feel, no, this is not my religion. I mean, this is somebody else's religion. I'm not born in this. I'm not following this. But the principles are absolutely universal. I mean, they don't change for anybody or anything. And that is one of the reasons why Sanatan Dharma has survived many, many cycles. Whereas so many religions have not survived the test of time. Sanatan Dharma has because of this quality. Now, to answer your question whether it is necessary to study Vedic texts and to follow certain rituals, the answer is yes and no. In the sense, it depends on what kind of path you take within Sanatan Dharma.
Okay.
So, Sanatan Dharma has various, I would say, modalities to reach the ultimate goal. So if you're the type who likes to study and read and acquire knowledge and that type, then yes, then it has that facility for you. You can do that. You can study all the texts that you want and go as far as it takes you. If you're not that type, if you're the very emotional type, and you feel, no, I don't want all this high flying texts and philosophy, and I just want to love God, and I want to be a bhakt, I want to be a devotee. Sanatan Dharma has that. You can be that. Suppose you want to be a karma yogi. In a sense, you say service to humanity, service to God. Fine, Sanatan Dharma gives you enough to go on that path and to succeed and to progress and to evolve. So it caters to every kind of individual. So it is not that if you follow Sanatan Dharma, you have to read all the texts.
Okay.
I personally have not read all the texts. I've just read the 112 Upanishads, but I have not read anything else. So it doesn't mean that my knowledge is incomplete. It's just that was enough for me, and I didn't find the need to read any more. It's that way. So it depends on your personal outlook and what you want to follow and how you want to follow Sanatan Dharma to reach your ultimate goal. The point is to reach the purpose of this life, which is to evolve to the maximum extent possible.
And these are the means.
And it offers you all the
Different means. One of the means.
Different means. You can choose any of them, or you can choose you can use a combination also.
Right.
There are so many. Like there's a faction of Sanatan Dharma which is called Raj Yoga. So that is again, bhakti, gyan, and meditation. There are various combinations to that. You can choose whatever you want, whatever suits your personality. The end of the day, it must suit your personality. Because only if it suits your personality will you pursue it.
Right.
Otherwise, sadhana is not exciting. It's highly boring. So unless you're comfortable with it and you are drawn to it, you're not going to do it. And not with all the distractions that the world offers and people offer.
And so is the case with rituals also.
And so is the case with rituals. You may do the rituals. There are many rituals. Some of them have significance. Many of them don't even have significance, but they are added on later on, just to keep the priestly class occupied and give them something to employ themselves. But some of them have meaning and are important. Now, but you can live without that. You can progress without that. But yes, if you have a problem and you feel that this ritual is going to help me solve my problem, by all means, go ahead and do it.
So there is meaning to these rituals. They are not absolutely...
Most of them.
Most of them.
Most of them have meaning, and if done correctly, they will have a desired result also. Again, as I said, they help in getting the solution. They may not be the solution, which is where people make a mistake. They think rituals are the solution. No, rituals not the solution. Rituals may help you to get the solution. Easier.
Audience, do you have any question on this? Yes, Mridula.
Namaste Guruji. My question is, most of the scriptures written in Sanatan Dharma are in Sanskrit,
yes.
And the Sanskrit that is there is completely different from what is being taught in schools
yes.
or colleges or whatever we study in our education system. So what is the correct scripture or book that one can refer to if you want to really know or understand what Sanatan Dharma is?
No, you don't need to read a single book to understand Sanatan Dharma. However, you can read interpretations, you can read translations of those old ancient texts, because not everybody is well versed in reading Sanskrit.
Absolutely.
Now, when you read a translation or an interpretation, it may not be exactly what the person who has written the original text means. It will probably be somewhere 80%, okay, 70%. But it gives you a very good idea. Now, it is the reader who has to intuit and contemplate upon what he has read to get the real meaning out. See, this is how I read. I don't know Sanskrit.
Yeah.
But when I read the Upanishads, I didn't read it. I knew that many of the interpretations written were absurd. They made no sense. But when I thought about it and when I kind of contemplated on them, yes, and I could make out that yes, there is something in this to decipher. It is coded, and you have to break that code with your intuition. It's not always apparent. It's not black and white. You know?
Guruji, but you being a realized master, you know the correct meaning. As a normal human being, how will we know that whether we are interpreting is correct or not?
You have every human being, not only restricted to masters, every human being has a very strong intuitive faculty. A, you can build it up with your sadhana, and B, when you really dwell into it, you must see whether it fits into your heart. If it feels good, if it feels correct, if it kind of agrees with you, then that's your truth.
Something just clicks.
It clicks in your heart. Like how a key goes into a lock, even if the key is slightly bent, it will not go. Like that, it must be a perfect match for you. So if that happens, you are taking a correct interpretation to it. You will feel it inside. You have to feel it. That's more important. Not just read it and take a surface meaning.
Thank you, Guruji.
There's one more question.
Oh, there's one more question. Sorry.
Guruji, then how do one start to understand the Sanatan Dharma, or what practices one should start with? Because it's so vast.
Yes, it's vast. It starts with. I guess it depends on your personality. If you are a type who likes to read and gain knowledge, it starts with reading books. If you're the type who is that bhakti type, then you go to these bhajan mandalis, or you go to temples and you do your bhakti. If it's seva, then you start with that. You can start with whichever. I mean, depending on your personality, you take a start at some point which takes you forward in that on that path. Or best, you get a guru and he will show you exactly what to do and how to do it.
Guruji, the next question is, how does visualization form a part of spiritual sadhana? How can we make it more effective for our spiritual growth? This comes from Samir Kumaria.
Okay. Yes, visualization is a very important part of sadhana. And you see, what happens is when you go into meditation, now this is more specific to sadhana, which is connected with meditation or chanting or personal sadhana like that. The effect of visualization enhances your experience. Because your mind, you cannot stop it. It's going to keep kind of working. I mean, you can't till you die. The mind is not going to stop. You can bring your thoughts down. Now, the way to bring your thoughts down, to go into a meditative zone, a state, you need to achieve a certain level of expertise in visualization. When you do that, you take your mind and crunch it into that space and keep it there. And that is very important. Because otherwise your mind is a monkey, it will think thousands of thoughts in a few minutes. So that kind of makes creative visualization a very powerful tool in any sadhana that is connected to meditation. And also in certain cases, in certain types of sadhana, creative visualization helps you to get a certain experience.
It helps, Guruji.
It helps you. You can get certain experiences, certain spiritual experiences, if your creative visualization is so strong. Because you actually get transported to that zone, to that plane if your visualization is so strong. So it's a very important part of sadhana, some kind of sadhana. Not everybody needs to do it, but in certain type of sadhana, creative visualization or visualization is a very powerful tool. It's a tool again to use.
It helps.
It helps a lot.
So those who can't imagine or somewhere lack in visualization.
It's a bit of a disadvantage. I agree with you. I agree with you. Yeah.
Okay. Audience, do you have a question? Mrudula again.
So, Guruji, is there a way to increase or build up your creative visualization?
Through practice, yeah, there are ways of doing it. You can use aids like audio or video, or now there are 3D glasses and all that. Now there are a lot of. But ultimately, you will have to dispense with all those aids at some point of time and do it internally. So yes, if you can practice it without the aids, fine. If not, you can use these kind of aids to practice it. But ultimately, you have to get a control of the mind. And as I said, crunch it into that little tunnel and go only through that tunnel. You know. So it ultimately has to come to that.
Okay. Mastering the mind and creating that visual also.
Absolutely. And keeping it there.
Thank you, Guruji. Thank you for joining in today's Manovaac.
I have one more question here.
She has a question.
Guruji, this is about the three gunas. How do the three gunas influence creation and vice versa? How do they influence the human souls in turn? How it affects a human soul?
Okay. Now, just very briefly, earlier, the three gunas are Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Now, what are these gunas? That actually, you should understand this very quickly. Gunas are the quality of the mind, the thinking mind. Without the gunas, the mind can't think. So the gunas help the mind to think. Now, they form an important, I would say, component of your soul, all the three gunas, and all the three gunas are always with you. Which guna is, or which quality of thought is predominant, you think according to that. So if you're hugely tamasic, you are a lazy, sluggish, negative, dark person. Okay? Not necessarily a bad person. If you are Rajasic, if that guna is very predominant in you, you are ambitious, you are creative, you are passionate, you are keen to prove yourself, you are outward going. You know, that is all Rajasic quality. And if your Sattvic is very high, then you are content, calm. Sattvic is more towards purity. So, you get angry less, you're less passionate about things, you desire things less. So, that is more of the Sattvic quality. Now, we cannot exist without these gunas, because we cannot exist without a mind.
Absolutely.
So therefore, the gunas are an important component of your thinking process. It all depends on which is more predominant in you. And you can never completely wipe out a certain guna. Yes, you can give more prominence to it. Because if you wipe out one, which is not possible, if you wipe out one, what will happen is you won't be able to survive on the planet. You won't be able to function on the planet. See, suppose you take out tamasic. Suppose you completely get rid of the tamasic guna. You know what will happen? You will be a hyper person all the time. You will never rest, you will never cease, you will never take a break, and you'll probably just go burst.
Burn out.
You'll burn out.
So this is like a break on your
So
ambitions.
tamasic is like a brake. Rajasic is like accelerator.
Okay.
And Sattvic is like your driving wheel,
Okay.
which takes you towards purity
Or
and towards
balances these
it
two.
balances these two.
And-
And yes, there is a stage where what we call as gunatit. Gunatit means where either all the gunas are perfectly balanced and fine tuned, or you're completely devoid of any desires, even the good ones, even the desire to be compassionate, to be loving, to be kind, tender, even that desire is not there. So, but that's a very difficult stage to achieve, and as I said, human beings can't function if we do that.
So only witness can be.
Exactly, you become a witness. And now, yes, there are sages and saints who have done that and who can become that. But that's where 1 in a trillion, like, I mean, it's not somebody you'd meet every day on the road or something of that sort. So by and large, for us normal human beings, all gunas have to be there. And we have to have all the 3 qualities. The point is, which are you most comfortable with? And which is more predominant in you? That is very important.
So we have to watch out on how our gunas are functioning and
Yes.
Give
And
direction.
give direction, because if your gunas are making you unhappy, miserable, sad, then you need to change course. You need to do something about your thinking process, because obviously it's your thought that leads to action.
True.
So the base of thought is gunas. That is the foundation. That is where thought arises in you, the gunas. So therefore, you cannot have a world devoid of gunas, but you have to know how to either balance them perfectly, or then you become gunatit and have no desires left at all.
Guruji, you have explained in such a beautiful way. If you want to drive, you have to have accelerator, you have to have a brake and wheel, which is like keeping your vehicle steady.
Yeah.
Well, that's a very rough comparison, but yeah, it will explain to you how it works.
Actually, it's most simplest way to explain. Why? Because as a sadhak, I would all along was thinking tamas is not at all good.
No.
Somehow I want to get rid of this is negative, this is
No, it's not negative. Tamas is not negative.
And
It just plays its
Rajasic
role.
will make you indulge, so I don't want Rajasic either. So you just work out towards Sattvic, or try and become more Sattvic.
Right.
So while you are balancing Rajasic and Tamasic, what if Sattvic is increasing, but that also can lead to imbalance?
Sattvic can see, anything can lead to imbalance.
Okay.
But at least a Sattvic will not make you incur karma.
Okay.
So yes, it may make you a little egoistic and intolerable, and people may run away from you. That who's this? Oh God,
Boring.
can't stand this person. That may happen, but because you have such an inflated ego, but it won't help you. It won't increase your karmas. Whereas being Rajasic or Tamasic could. I'm not saying it does. It could.
And very beautiful quality that you describe about Sattvic, which I personally liked, is being contented.
Yeah. It brings about that peace and contentment in you. It brings about higher qualities in your nature. I mean, it changes your personality in that sense. It brings out more nobler qualities.
Okay.
Whereas Rajasic can get about very drastic qualities in you. Competitiveness, jealousy, ambition, ruthlessness. All that can come with Rajasic.
So is it to keep the tamas in check, you need Rajasic?
Yes.
To keep Rajasic
you
check,
need
you need Sattvic. And to keep Sattvic in check, what do you need?
You need a guru, I think. Because he's the only one who will get your ego down. Because in Sattvic, that is the biggest
most
pitfall.
danger.
That is the
Guruji, quick way. This is how it influences human mind. How it influences the creation, these 3 gunas. Where we see the three gunas in nature, how do we see it?
You'll see it everywhere. You'll see it everywhere. It plays a role, because basically the planet is the people. I mean,
Okay.
The collective consciousness. So it affects the collective consciousness. So you will see that in the Kali Yuga, the tamasic is extremely high. Then in the Dwarpa Yuga, the Rajasic is very high. In the other yugas, the Sattvic is taking over. It's like that.
Okay.
So that's how it influences collective consciousness.
Okay. Excellent. Then
Any questions from the audience? Sure. Quickly.
So Guruji, between the so let's say if someone is working on really complex things as part of their profession, right? Now, which guna would help more in that case? Would it be the Rajasic or the Sattvic?
Rajasic.
Rajasic.
Any kind of work related issues, Rajasic. But as I said, there's no positive negative to it. So don't think it's good or bad.
Right.
But yes, you need more Rajasic because you need the passion to work for it.
Right. So you need to cultivate that.
You need to cultivate that. Now, if you
Okay.
become tamasic, then you'll become sluggish. You'll become slow. You'll become lazy. You'll become disinterested. You say, I'm not going to work. I'd rather smoke weed or something. Like that. If you're trying to achieve something, yes, the Rajasic is very important, and you must have that.
Right. So just a follow up to that. Now, Sattvic, in my understanding, would mean a higher sense of balance and maybe more intuition.
Yeah.
So would that also help them
Yes,
to solve
yes.
problems which otherwise would be unsolvable?
Yes, developing your sattvic side will definitely help to sort out a lot of problems because it brings about a balance and brings about contentment, brings about a lot of understanding of human nature, of yourself.
Right.
So yes, those and brings about softer qualities in you. So you become a better human being also, which you may not be as a Rajasic or a Tamasic person.
Thank you.
okay. Here we end today's episode. Thank you so much for joining us. See you in the next episode.